Today we have kind of a neat system from the NCIX PC lab. Now we did our Vesta 6050, which the prototype of which you can see right here. We showed it running games, we showed it being sort of designed, okay, so that's all fine and cool, but we had a customer come to us, and this is one of the first 6050 series systems off of our production line. He came to us and he said, well, I want the Vesta 6050, I like the overall spec, I want to make a couple small tweaks, but I don't want such a big case. I have some space considerations for where I'm putting my computer. And we kind of went, okay, well, what we'll do is we'll see what we can do to customize the 6050 into the smaller Define R3 chassis versus the larger Define XL chassis. So we made a couple tweaks. First of all, the Moduvent feature here, we've taken off the sound dampening material and replaced it with a 140mm exhaust fan. So we do have some slightly warm air coming out of here that's drawing heat away from the graphics cards. And other than that, most of the internal specs are the same. But the first thing I want to show you is the CPU temps. So we are running the H70. So we are getting temperatures only as high as 60 degrees. That is with all 12 threads on this 980X. He did upgrade to a 980X 6-core CPU. All 12 threads are at 100% using Prime 95 small FFT. So now we can take the side panel off, and obviously the temperatures are going to get even a little bit better once we remove the side panel. Okay, so we've taken that off. Here we go. So I'll show you all of the other tweaks that he made to his personal config. First, he changed to an HX 850 watt power supply from the TX 850 power supply that is in the spec. That allows us to maintain better cable management in this small case, so we can make sure we have adequate airflow, bringing air from the front of the case here, from these two 120mm fans, over to the graphics cards. Okay, so that's one change that he made. Another change that he made is he added a Killer NIC 2100. These were on like crazy Black Friday promo for $49.99, so yeah, it's kind of a no-brainer at that price. Okay, we've also added a storage drive. Now, instead of using the WD Green series, he opted for a Velociraptor series drive in addition to his OCZ Vertex 2 SSD. And then I believe that is, oh yeah, finally, of course, he upgraded to a 980X 6-core processor from the 950 quad-core that we normally use. So, yeah, you can clearly see that there. Now, as an experiment, we kind of built the system for him, and this is right out of our production lab. This is not a prototype built by Crazy Russian or anything like that, so this is pretty much what you can expect if you buy a system from NCIX. And so we also wanted to run some 3D benchmarks to ensure that even with the side panel closed, we're not going to get any overheating, because two GTX 580s is a pretty significant heat load. And we also found that even with the two 580s, the 6-core processor, etc., there was no overheating. Now, another thing that people seem to be concerned about, and I can't imagine why, with our Vesta 6050 prototype, was that we were using an 850 watt power supply with two GTX 580s. Well, it's fine. I can tell you that right now. Even with the 980X upgrade that we've made here, this system, running Prime 95 in the background, running 3D Mark Vantage, pulls no more than 726 watts from the wall. Now, factoring in that the HX 850 is about 88% efficient, that means that we are actually pulling no more than 650 watts from that power supply, well within its rated capacity. You've got an extra 200 watts of additional power available. Yeah, you're not going to be adding another GTX 580 with that kind of an overhead, but you also don't have to worry about adding any additional drives or adding a sound card or adding some more RAM. That's a non-concern. With 200 watts of additional room, it also means that I mean, that's only when you're under the highest load, okay? So when you're at idle, you're pulling like a very, very small portion of what this power supply is capable of achieving. So we're going to run Vantage for you guys. I'm going to put the side panel back on. So you've seen the max temps with the Corsair H70 running with full load on the CPU, but I also want to show you guys just how high the graphics cards get when we close this up and let it cook. Alright, so we finished our Vantage test. We've got SLI enabled, obviously. PhysX, however, is off, just so that we have scores that are more easily reproducible if you want to compare at home. And you can see we scored 36,000 3D marks in Vantage. That is in the performance mode. You can tell by the P at the beginning. And then the hottest that our GPUs got are 87 degrees on the top GPU and 80 degrees on the bottom one. That is pretty darn good. Although I have to tell you guys, in some of the testing, we did see it peak up around as high as 90. But, you know, it's still well within reason for a GTX 580. I also meant to mention that one of the other small tweaks that was made for this machine was dual 120mm fans in the front rather than only a single, and a card reader. So that, well, the card reader is not all that significant, but the changes to the front intake are somewhat significant. So thanks for checking out this little video on one of our, well, I mean, I could call it a Vesta 6050, but it's fairly customized because we did have to use a different case and revalidate the thermals for that different case. But yeah, thanks for checking out the video on this custom system from NCIX, and don't forget to subscribe to Linus Tech Tips for more PC videos, technology videos, unboxings, reviews. I have no idea what he said. Other stuff.